They'll just go on ABC with George Slopadopoulos and they'll try to take Trump out together. We saw George Slopadopoulos go after Byron Donalds, a black man, saying, "Why aren't you outraged about the attacks on Kamala?"
Waltz left the National Guard in May 2005, 24 years of service. His unit was not given deployment orders to Iraq until July of that year. Waltz had put in his retirement papers 5 to 7 months before he retired as a master sergeant.
I think if you match up Trump and Harris, which I think that's really what this is really about, and I do believe he's going to win Pennsylvania.
Trump agrees to ABC debate with Harris. I like how they frame that. This is the same debate that Trump already agreed to do with Biden. Now Biden is gone, so they just slotted in a new fighter, like little cheating cowards. But former President Trump said he agreed to an offer to debate Kamala on September 10th. It's going to be on ABC. Trump said so during a news conference. Says, "I look forward to the debates because I think we have to set the record straight." Harris also confirmed, "Well, I'm glad he finally agreed to debate. I'm looking forward to it. I hope he shows up." He'll be there, unless you guys try to shoot him again. Trump previously said that he had been willing to go toe-to-toe with President Biden and agreed to ABC's first invitation in May. Then they changed the entire candidate, cooed their top guy, and slotted someone else in there. Biden dropped out of the race. Trump had implied that he would not debate Harris on ABC. And then Harris said he's running scared. Now we got a debate scheduled. So now the question is, why is Kamala running scared of the other two debates? Why'd that happen? Is she going to do the one before on Fox? Is she going to do the one after on NBC? No. They'll just go on ABC with George Slopadopoulos and they'll try to take Trump out together. We saw George Slopadopoulos go after Byron Donalds, a black man, saying, "Why aren't you outraged about the attacks on Kamala?" George Stephanopoulos, a white guy, lecturing a black man about how this all works. Pathetic. Corey Mills over from Florida says that the Democrats are going to continue to struggle. Of course, Corey Mills served this country honorably. And he says Walz is not somebody who is telling the truth about his history.
Corey Mills joins us. He has a military background. May I just lay out a timeline here? Waltz left the National Guard in May 2005, 24 years of service. His unit was not given deployment orders to Iraq until July of that year. Waltz had put in his retirement papers 5 to 7 months before he retired as a master sergeant.
Accurate.
Congressman, you're a military guy. Was this fair criticism of Waltz from Vance?
Your timeline's wrong.
Well, it's not just a fact that, I was a military veteran. I'm a military combat veteran who had deployed to Iraq and served honorably with my unit. Look, I was not actually supposed to go to Iraq with my unit. I actually was at the end of my terminal service date and within a threshold that would have actually seen me transfer out. I went to my brigade commander and requested a 6-month extension so that I could deploy with my unit because I didn't want to leave them behind and then get stop-lossed as the war began. I went to Iraq even though I had an out, but I knew that it was important not to have an abandonment of the men that I had trained with and that I was sworn to protect and fight alongside. That's very different in contrast to Waltz, who left because he wanted to be a politician rather than looking out for trying to serve with his unit. The other thing that JD has talked about is the fact that people wanted to criticize Senator Vance. He actually deployed to Iraq. He actually served abroad in the United States Marine Corps honorably. And Tim Waltz, who knew that he had never attended the Sergeant Major's Academy, continued to say that he was a Command Sergeant Major, even though he knew his military record reflected as a Master Sergeant. So there's a lot of embellishments, but the pattern of abandonment actually is fitting for the Democrat Party. Think about the fact that I had to go to Afghanistan to conduct the first successful rescue of Americans after Biden left them there. 255 Americans that I had to get out of Israel when Biden abandoned them there. And the 23 Americans I rescued in Haiti when Biden Harris abandoned them there. So a pattern of abandonment seems to be a Democrat trait.
Love it. Nicely done, Corey Mills. That's what they do. They abandon everybody. Just use them and then throw them aside when they're not useful anymore, just like they did with Joe. So Trump has some interesting things. New York Times seems a little bit nervous in this headline. They say Trump dangles a new tax cut proposals that has some real political appeal. Uh-oh, they don't like that. The most recent and costliest of Trump's ideas, very expensive, would end income taxes on Social Security benefits, which is your money anyways. First, it was a tax cut for hotel and restaurant workers, no tax on tips. Then he talked about a corporate tax rate cut, amazing. Now he's talking about an end to taxing Social Security benefits, which would help retirees, one of the most politically important groups in the U.S. Great, no taxes for anyone, anywhere. Repeatedly during the campaign, Mr. Trump and Republicans have embraced new, sometimes novel tax cuts in an attempt to shore up some support. In a series of social media posts, Trump has casually suggested reducing federal revenue by trillions of dollars. Great, excellent. A lot harder to fund those foreign wars. While policy experts have taken issue with the ideas, Trump's pronouncements have real political appeal, at times putting Democrats on their back foot. Nevada's 2 Democratic senators have endorsed ending taxes on tips. Oh, the AARP supports tax relief for seniors receiving Social Security Security benefits. Yeah, it's just interesting. So you have the government take your money from you all your life, dump it into a decrepit, dying program called Social Security. Then they take that money from you and you have no opportunity to earn any interest on that or to save that or to put that to use in your own life. And what happens is then when you actually want that money, then they tax you on it because it's a penalty. But got it. So you do have to scratch your head a little bit when someone's going around offering free lunches everywhere. It's not free, it's ours. The government has free lunches every day, Jesse Lee. Free lunches, that's your party, bro. You say everybody should have UBI and equity and everybody should have the same crap. That's entirely your party. It's our money. We're all for having people have their lunch, but we have to raise taxes on the wealthy to pay for it. They're communists, okay? We have to take the money from the rich to give it to the poor. It's just communism. The most recent, most expensive of Trump's plan is ending income on Social Security benefits. Great. Which would cost the federal government $1.8 trillion, grifting off our seniors who already worked their entire lives. Says that would burn through the program's financial reserves more quickly and hasten the moment when the government can't even pay Social Security benefits, or we just have to figure out a better system. It would also provide tax relief to millions of Americans. Congress started Social Security benefits in 1980 to help prop up the finances, and now about 40% of the people who receive Social Security payments owe taxes on the benefits. We get taxed so much it makes you sick. Everything we do is taxed. I pay you to do something, you pay income tax. Then you pay someone that same exact money, they pay income tax, right? And taxes on the goods and services. So it's just like never ending, a never ending grift. By the time we get our dollar, it's been taxed, right? By the time you put it in your bank account, it's been taxed 1 trillion times. Then you spend it, gets taxed again. So individuals make more than $34,000 have to pay taxes on up to 85% of their benefits. Great. Meanwhile, they keep inflating the currency too. So what you do have is worth less. So this is great. I'm for basically no taxes. I don't know why we have taxes at all. Even as they prepare to defend much of Trump's signature tax law, many Democrats believe they have a better political hand on tax policies. Well, we'll see. Maybe they can raise taxes again so your cost of goods goes up even more. Mike Johnson was out ripping on VP Kamala Harris, said she's also allowed a record number of terrorist suspects into our country. Americans are not safe here. This was Greg Abbott, governor of Texas. He was out with Jake Tapper making the same point.
Well, as governor of the largest border state, I got to tell you, that ticket is very frightening. As bad as Joe Biden has been on the border, Harris Walz will be even worse on the border if all you do is look at the policies and pronouncements they have each made. Talking about Walz, listen, he as governor was a magnet for illegal immigration by providing state-funded benefits for illegal immigrants, by supporting things like sanctuary cities. He will be a disaster, as will Kamala Harris, if you look at the policies that she stood for when she first ran for president. And what she's done is the person that Joe Biden handpicked to be in charge of immigration issues. You can see under Biden-Harris, we set an all-time record for the number of people who cross the border illegally. You can only imagine how much worse it would get under Harris-Walz.
Interesting. All right, so that is another problem from Texas. Harris is a disaster. It'd be nice if Jake Tapper would demand some answers from Kamala Harris about any of that, but of course, they'll just to continue to cover a lot of this up. This is also interesting. So Jim Jordan and the Judiciary Committee from the GOP, they sent letters over to Blinken and to Alejandro Mayorkas about that Pakistani national who was indicted or actually criminally charged for trying to take out Trump. And we had the same question. We're like, how did this dude even get in the country? Like he's flying back and forth to Iran and they just let him in? They did. We read that yesterday. So Jordan is now saying, here, let's read this one to Blinken. How did he get in the Secretary of State, right? How did he even get in here? On July 12th, law enforcement arrested Asif Merchant one day before the J-13 attack on American democracy. We saw that saying he orchestrated a plot, Iran was orchestrating a plot, came one day after the Butler attack. And court records, the Pakistani flew from Pakistan to Istanbul, then to Houston to recruit individuals. His travel records to enter the United States showed frequent travel to Iran, Syria, and Iraq. Once inside the U.S., he contacted a person he thought could help him with a scheme. Now that person called law enforcement and became a confidential source. Then he continued to plan his assassination for 3 months until law enforcement arrested him right before he planned to leave. During a phone call with the DOJ, the Biden-Harris administration refused to answer our committee's questions about his immigration status, okay, and his method of entry into the United States. Instead, the DOJ, the prosecutors, directed the committee to court documents. Now, there are no details in those documents. We read them. And they do not substitute for our need for info. Potential terrorists have come in here. They're exploiting vulnerabilities in our crap immigration system thanks to Biden and Harris. 99 potential terrorists have come into this country. Pursuant to the House of Representatives, the judiciary is allowed to investigate this, and so let us know. We wanted to know everything about this guy, Asif. Case history, immigration, visa records, the alien's immigration history, immigration benefits, the alien file, the A file, the consular Mueller files and the notes. Give it to us by the end of August. Your friends Jim Jordan and Tom McClintock. Please tell us what the hell happened here. Same question that we had. Why is this guy even here? And they're just allowing him to just kind of plot an assassination attempt from Iran. Interesting. And if that's true, why was security so lax there in Pennsylvania? Speaking of Pennsylvania, Fetterman is saying that Trump is going to win Pennsylvania.
I think if you match up Trump and Harris, which I think that's really what this is really about, and I do believe he's going to win Pennsylvania. And of course it's going to be close, but I've been maintaining that whether it's Biden, whether it was Clinton, or whether now it's with Vice President Harris, it's going to be very close.
That's good. That's going to be very close. And we always have questions about what he says because his brain is mostly fried.